Hi, for this video, we are going to talk about another special product which is called the cube of binomials. So to get the product of cube of binomials, we are going to follow this pattern. So if the given binomial is separated by a plus sign, this will be the pattern, or this will be the pattern of the product of the given. And then if the binomial is separated by a minus sign, then we will follow this pattern. And then here are the steps in finding the product of cubes of binomial. So first is we need to get the cube of the first term in the given binomial. And the second one is we need to trace the product of the square of the first term and the second term. And then next is trace the product of the first term and the square of the second term. And then lastly, we need to get the cube of the second term. So that is how you find the product of the given cube of binomial using shortcut method. Now let us solve some example regarding cube of binomials. So this is now our first two examples regarding cube of binomial. So for example, number 1, we have quantity x plus 2 cube, or is raised to the third power. So as you can see here, the binomial is separated by a plus sign. So the pattern that we will use is the first one. Okay, so the product should contain, or the terms in the product should contain all positive signs. Okay? So kung napansin nyo, ayan, dapat yung product niya, lahat positive signs. So, getting the product of each term using the steps. So, una nating gagawin is we need to get the cube of the first term down. So, in the binomial, the first term is x. So, kunin natin yung cube niya. The answer is x raised to the third power, or x cubed. And then applying the second step, we have trace the product of the square of the first term. So i-square natin yung first term. The first term is x. Kunin natin yung square niya. And the product of the second term. Second term natin is 2. Disregard muna natin yung sign. And then when we say thrice, ibig sabihin, we need to multiply the product of this to 3. Kasi thrice, tatlong beses. So we have 3 times x raised to the second power times 2. So the answer is 6x raised to the second power. Basically, ang pinag-multiply lang natin is 3 and 2, and then si x raised to the second power, kinapi lang natin siya. So the product is 6x raised to the second power. And then the third step, we need to get thrice the product of the first term. So, ang first term natin is x. Again, thrice ulit. So, multiply natin yung product sa 3. So, 3 times x times the square of the second term. Okay? So, here, kung mapapansin ninyo, before we multiply all of this, we need to simplify 2 raised to the second power muna. So, kapag simplify natin, we have 3 times quantity x times 2 raised to the second power is 2 times 2. So, that is equal to 4. So, tsaka pa lang natin sila i-multiply. So, 3 times x times 4 is equal to 12x. And then, applying the last step, so we need to get the cube of the second term down. So cube of the second term, which is 2, simplify natin siya, 2 times 2 times 2, that is equal to 8. So yan, nakuha na natin yung product for each step. No? So using this, using lahat ng product na yan, i-list down muna natin sila. We have x raised to the third, we have 6x raised to the second, we have 12x, based sa pagkakasunod-sunod, no? And then we have 8. Now, let us write our product. So the product, for example, number 1, given na the given binomial is separated by a plus sign, ibig sabihin, ito yung susundin natin na pattern. So we have x raised to the third power plus, then the second one, 6x raised to the second power, again plus ulit, according sa pattern, plus 12x, and then plus ulit, plus 8. So that is now your product, for example, number 1 using these steps or the shortest method possible. No? So, hindi nyo na siya kailangan na i-expand pa para makuha yung product. Using these steps, using the shortcut method, you can get the product easily. How about, for example, number 2? So, we have quantity x minus y raised to the third power or cube. No? So, kung napansin nyo, yung binomial natin is separated by a minus sign. Therefore, we will use the second pattern. Okay? So, the pattern should be like this. But before that, follow muna natin yung steps sa pagkuha ng product for each terms. So, step number 1 is to get the cube of the first term. The first term is x. No? So, we have x cube. That is equal to x raised to the third power x cubed. And then the second step, thrice the product of the square of the first term. So, thrice the product of the square of the first term. Ang first term natin is x, so i-square down natin siya. And then yung second term natin. Ang second term natin is y. No? So, therefore, pag kinuha natin yung product nito, we have 3x raised to the second y. And then, next step is thrice the product of the first term and the square of the second term. So, thrice the product of the first term. Ang first term natin is x. And the square of the second term. So, second term natin is y. Kunin natin yung square niya. So, getting the product of this one, we have 3x y raised to the second power. So, nagkabaliktad lang. No? And then, lastly, get the cube of the second term. Ang second term natin is y. So, we have y cubed. Ayan. So, listing all the products that we computed. So, we have x raised to the third, 3x squared y. Then, we have 3x xy squared. And then, we have y cubed. So, we should now assemble these terms para makuha natin yung product. So, using the second pattern, so the first term should be positive, no? So, positive si x cubed. And then, the second term is a negative. So, lagay natin minus. And then, 3x raised to the second power y. And then, the third term is positive. So, lagay natin plus. O, 3x y to the second power. And then, the last term is negative. So, lagay natin minus y cubed. So, that is now the product for example number 2. So, it is a matter of like knowing the pattern. Kasi dapat alam mo yung pattern. No, if the given binomial is separated by a plus sign or a minus sign. Kasi iba yung pattern na gagamitin mo, na iba-iba yung sign. So, pag positive siya, therefore, the terms of the product are all positive. Kapag negative siya, kung napapansin nyo, alternate, no? Positive, negative, positive, negative. So, dito sa number 1, they are separated by a plus sign. Therefore, the terms of the product are all positive. Dito sa number 2, they are separated by a minus sign. So, the sign of the product is alternate, positive, positive, negative, positive, negative. So, you should know the pattern as well as the steps, of course, in getting the product of cube of binomial. So, let us solve some more examples. Next is we have our third and fourth examples. So the first one or the third example is quantity A, B plus C cubed. So as you can see, it is also separated by a plus sign. So the pattern that we are going to use is the first pattern, wherein the terms of the product are all positive. So let's apply the steps to get the value of the term. So we need to get the cube of the first term. So we have quantity A, B, cube, using the power rule sa loss of exponent, distribute natin yung 3 to each variable inside the parenthesis. So we have A cube, B cube. And then the second step is tries the product of the square of the first term. So square natin yung first term. So we have quantity AB squared and the second term. So the second term is C. So if we multiply all of this, we have 3A squared B squared C. And then the third step is tries the product of the first term and the square of the second term. So the second term is C. So we have C squared. So if we get the product of this, we have 3ABC squared. Then applying the last step, we need to get the cube of the second term. So the second term is C cube. So we have C cube. And then list muna natin lahat ng product na nakuha natin. And then let us assemble these terms according to the pattern that we need to follow. So we will follow the first one. So lahat ng terms is positive. So the product is A cube B cube plus 3A squared B squared C plus 3ABC squared plus C cube. So that is now the product for example number 3. How about the second one or the fourth example? So the fourth example is separated by a minus sign. Therefore, we will follow the second pattern. But first, let us get the product for the value of the terms. So we need to get the cube of the first term. So the first term is x squared. So we have quantity x squared and then it is raised by the third power. So using the power rule, again, sa loss of exponent, we need to multiply the exponents. Sabi doon sa rule. So we have x raised to the 6th power. And then we need to get thrice the square of the first term. Sabi. So the first term is x squared, i-square pa natin siya. And the second term. So the second term is 5y. So simplify muna natin si quantity x squared raised to the second power. So you have 3 x raised to 2 times 2 is 4. So we have x raised to the 4th power times natin siya sa 5y. We have 3 times 5. So we have numerical coefficients, no? So 3 times 5 is 15. And then x raised to the 4th y. So it should be your product. And then the third step, we have thrice the product of the first term and the square of the second term. The second term is 5y, so square pa natin siya. So simplify muna natin si 5y squared. We have 3 times x squared. And then distribute natin yung 2 na exponent to each term. So we have 5 raised to the second power, that is 25. And then y squared. Okay? So getting the product of this one, we have 3 times 25. The answer is 75. X squared y squared. So that is the product. And then last step, we have we need to get the cube of the second term. So the second term is 5y cube. No? So applying the product rule again, we have 5 raised to the third, y raised to the third. 5 raised to the third can be simplified as 5 times 5 times 5, and that will be equal to 125y cubed. So listing all the products that we get, so arranging these terms using the pattern. No, so the pattern that we are going to use is the second one kasi yung given na cube of binomial natin is separated by a minus sign. So the sign of the product should be alternate, positive, negative, positive, negative. So writing the product, we now have x to the 6th power, positive and then negative 15 or minus 15x to the 4th y, and then positive ulit. So we have plus 75 x squared y squared, and then negative, the last term, minus 125 y cubed. So that is the product for example number 4. So that's it. That is how you get the product of cube of binomials using short method.